Hello, Ken Spriggs here with an unboxing and a basic review of the brand new Elegoo Saturn 3D resin printer, which I've been waiting for quite some time. I pre-ordered this in mid-June when they sold out completely. They actually had two different pre-orders. One was the first week they pre-ordered, I believe it was 2,000, and they sold out in about 3 minutes. I was very frustrated, didn't think I was going to get it. And then shortly after, they announced the second one, which was a week later. And right under the wire, I got one and sold out again in maybe like 5 minutes, another 2,000, I believe. So initially, this was supposed to come out sometime in February or March. But obviously, the world had other plans, so that didn't work out. So then when they did the pre-orders, the first batch was supposed to come out in mid to late August or early August, and then the second batch in mid-September. So there were some delays, obviously, and it was held off till today, obviously, mid-November. So I paid $400 for it with $100 shipping, which is fantastic. I paid $230, I believe, for the original Mars, which I really loved and had no problems with whatsoever. So I was very excited to get the new Saturn, which is considerably larger. In addition, it also has the mono screen, which to me seems strange because mono always sounds like, well, you have stereo and you have mono. It seems like mono would be worse, but I don't know. But whatever it is that it has a 4K display, I believe, and it has, I think it's monochrome or something. Don't quote me on it, I'm not sure. But it's a better display, and it's supposed to have finer detail on the prints. So let's go ahead and take a look at this fantastic new 3D printer that I got. Here's the instructions, which I'll go over carefully. This is the FEP film. Look at the size of that. Now I know it's bigger than the actual build plate, but still, that's pretty dang big. And there we go, Elegoo Saturn. I just wanted to get an initial shot of it. Obviously, I'll be taking it out and going over it quite a bit, but very, very nice. Very, very nice indeed. All right. All right, and here they are, or here is the Saturn out of the box, and I put it next to the Mars to show you the comparison in size. Quite a bit of a difference, most definitely a difference. So just right off the bat, you can see that there's a considerable difference just in the size of the machine. I could tell right away, of course, obviously by picking it up. It's definitely heavier. It's about 22 pounds. It was a fairly sizable machine when it came in. A lot of the same features that I really loved in the first one, as far as the acrylic, the red acrylic lid or cover, which is all one piece. Keeps all the fumes inside, so there are no fumes coming out at all when you are operating it and when this is on. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when I open it up and show you on the inside. So there's the initial size differences between the two. I have the build plate out right now because I haven't plugged it in and leveled it or done any of that just yet. I have to get it set up in place and put it where I want it to be. So, but let me go ahead and take those the two lids off, and we're going to make a couple comparisons and show you where the real important changes are. All right, so here is on the inside. Now, as I said, I did not put these together yet, so this hasn't been leveled or anything like that. But right off the bat, you can see a much taller Z-axis platform. Definitely considerably sturdier with these two really solid rails that this whole big mechanism rides on. Much bigger. Probably twice as big as the one over here. Rides up and down. So definitely going to have, not that I've had any issues with stability in the Mars at all. I haven't. Some people talk about Z wobble and that kind of thing. I've never experienced any of that. I always thought this one was nice and solid and it moved just fine, but most definitely this is bigger, considerably bigger, so it has a much sturdier mechanism here in order to make sure that it doesn't get any of that going on. So, okay, a few things I'll go over real quick and just kind of touch on lightly, because some people like it, some people don't, some people are unhappy with the placement of certain things, and to me it never was a problem. One of the issues they had with the first one with the Mars is that the plug for the USB thumb drive is on the back. A little harder to get to. On this one, they put it on the right side. Sorry if I'm on focus here. There we go, right there. Towards the back, but it's on the side. It's a little bit easier. Initially, I had seen somewhere it was on the front, and people complained because it's in the way of your touch display, and that makes sense. So I'm fine with it. On the side, it's easier to get to. The back of it still has the power switch, which, again, I have no problem. There's the power switch. And there's the power cord, which is also fine. And it has an Ethernet connector. This can be connected up directly to a computer, which honestly I don't think I'm really that worried about. I can see people in the doing a lot of commercial type of printing might want that. That would be easier. But looks like there's dual fans. I don't know if this one had it. This one, well, it's hard to say. There's the two slots. Could be. I think the fan on this one's on the bottom actually. All right, so those are the main switches and such things. Of course, the display's right here. Looks like about the same size. And again, I'm not really going to show that because I don't think there's any major differences between the setup and the interface and how you do that. The main differences are going to be in the size of the prints that you can print, and that's what I wanted this for. And certainly with the same quality of the Elegoo Mars, now in a larger format in the Saturn. So right off the bat, you can see this is the build plate for the Mars, and this is a build plate for the Saturn. Considerably larger. If you hold it like this is just slightly smaller in width, but definitely more than twice the size. I measured it, and I believe this one, the original, is about 5 1/4 inches long by just about 3 inches wide. This one is 7 3/4 inches long by 5 inches wide. So the width now is very nearly the length of this one. So anything that fit that length easily fits on this and then some. It fits sideways now. So you have considerably more room to work with. So very nice. It has almost like a Teflon looking kind of a surface, kind of sparkles, but it's really smooth. It's not rough. I believe on the Pro they had like an etched in kind of an aluminum. It looked like it had like things etched into it, which I didn't really care for that much. I don't want that onto the bottom of my parts. So, but definitely nice and sturdy. Same mechanism, which I like a lot. I really like the mechanism where they just have these two Allen bolts that you loosen in order to do it. Not real thrilled with some of the other 3D printers where they have like a mechanism and 2 bolts over here and 2 bolts here, and it's just and it's flat. I don't like it when it's flush with the build plate because it's sitting right down in your resin. I always like that you have this nice little bit of a a gap, which is good. I mean, sometimes you get some resin up onto this part, but it's not a big deal. But again, really sturdy, really nice size build plate. So fantastic. I'm really happy with that. And that larger size is going to be fantastic as far as me being able to build or to print things their normal size or even then some from it. So all right, so let's go ahead and let me take out the vats, the reservoirs, and kind of show you those as well. All right, and then again, I haven't taken off the protective films just yet until I'm ready to get this set up where I want it to be, and then go ahead and do that. This has a protective film over it. The bottom of the vat also has a protective film. Just like the original, it's cast aluminum. So it's a nice sturdy, it's not plastic or anything like that. Now, let me show you here. So the original way it was designed is you have these that are built in permanently. And this slides in, and you can just sort of feel when it kind of clicks in place. I have these pieces of tape here because it was recommended just to give that slight gap when the vat is on there from getting any of the FEP film from sticking and making a popping sound. I rarely had that happen, maybe one time, but I had no issues with that at all doing that. But basically you slide this in, and then you just screw these down on top of it, and it goes into the two little pieces right here. As you can see, they're worn away to the aluminum. Okay, so that's the standard one. Now this new one, a little different. The threaded screwed in attachments come loose, and they just go through the top, and they screw down into right here on either side. Be kind of careful with that. When I initially took this out, one of those fell off and fell onto my display, scared the heck out of me, but didn't damage anything. It still has the film on it, and it had a piece of paper on it too, so it was okay. But a nice thing it has is it has these four little very deep indentations on both sides that let's see again, let me take those out because they're ready to fall out. Okay, yeah, so if you're working with your vat on this one, your best bet is to take those things out entirely so they're not going to fall out and be a problem. But okay, so you have those little bolt parts right there on the four corners that go nicely right down into those spots. So it fits in perfectly. It just matches up exactly where you want it to be. So when you stick that on there, it only goes on one way. And it has these nice little handles on both sides, which are also good. This one didn't have that. You were just picking it up. Now, oddly enough, this one is much thinner, as you can see, except for right down into this little grooved part. But I would say that comparatively, these weigh about the same. When I pick this up, it does not feel substantially heavier. But then again, look at this. This one's a lot thicker all the way around. This one is a lot thinner. Now, it kind of looks, when I first looked at it, because of the scale of it, I thought, oh, it's not as deep. The side isn't as deep. But they're exactly the same thickness. Precisely the same thickness. Get a straight up shot. Yep, exactly the same. So it appears to be that way because obviously by comparison you have thinner sides, and so it just kind of looks to your brain like it's not as deep, but it's just as deep. Obviously much larger FEP film. Looks like a very similar, exactly the same type of replacement method where you take off all the screws, pull that ring off. I would imagine those things have to come off too, the ones that go down into the slots. You would do that also. So, okay. But again, I'm holding this up with one hand. It's not heavy at all. It's really comparable. But again, look at the size. And of course, because you have a bigger build plate, you're going to have a much bigger reservoir. So very nice, very nicely designed. Obviously, look at the display on this one compared to on that one. It's much larger. Definitely going to accommodate a much larger print size than this other one. Okay, and then again, all you're going to do is just put these down in and screw them in place. Just watch yourself, like I said, because they're loose. So I could see too, like I'll have to remember when I want to take this out and remove it, to remove these entirely, because if I'm transporting this and bringing it out, it's very possible this could fall out into the resin and be a mess to clean up. So you don't want to do that. Obviously these ones were permanently attached on here, so that wasn't an issue. Now I do want to point out a few things, and again, this is my opinion. This is from my experience. Take it as you will, because I know there's a lot of different information out there about resin printers and a lot of concern people have about the fumes, inventing the fumes, and that kind of thing. What I have always loved about this, that I had no issue with at all, is when the cover is on it, there are absolutely no fumes whatsoever coming out of this machine, because it's one solid piece of acrylic. There's nothing coming out, leaking through the bottom, nothing whatsoever. Not while it's operating, not while it's sitting there. And I had it there for days at a time, even longer. It's literally, there are no fumes coming out of this machine. There's no way for them to come out. There's no way for them to escape from this solid metal or this display that's sealed in and the acrylic and come out. Now, I know there's been a lot of controversy, well, a little controversy. They even had the Mars Pro where they had cut out an area and put vents in here and put a filter and ran a fan to vent out, and people thought that was necessary, and they put a rubber stripping on the bottom, around the bottom of it, that kind of thing. So if you notice, this one doesn't have any of that. No vents, no need to vent out the fumes. They're contained. People often say, and they'll use words like, the fumes are building up, or it's building up in some way. It's not building up. There's nothing building up. It is an inert material. It's not building up any more inside of this sealed container than it is inside the sealed bottle with the cap on it. It doesn't pressurize. It doesn't build up. It's simply an inert material that has a pungent odor like anything else. CA glue, very pungent odor. I would not leave the cap off of my CA glue lying around. It's going to stink up my room. I wouldn't do that with paint thinner or any of the other dangerous and hazardous materials. Now, certainly when I'm close up using it and I'm touching it, I'm wearing gloves and I'm wearing a mask. By all means. I don't want to breathe it in if I don't have to. But the only time I'm ever breathing in any fumes from this resin is when I take off that lid to fill up the vat for a moment, or when I'm done with the print and I have to pull it off and I have to remove the print, wipe off the build plate and put it back in, put the lid on. So one thing that I've learned that is the most important, that was giving me some hassles in the beginning, was that any materials that you use that are coming in contact with the resin, make them disposable. Paper plates, styrofoam plates, paper towels, that sort of thing. So that when you wipe those things off and they have the uncured resin on them, you put them into like a plastic grocery bag, and I usually double it up, and then I'll set that aside and tie it off so the fumes are not escaping it, and throw it out in the garbage. Having done that, none of that material is getting on anything. Don't throw it in your regular garbage. I made that mistake when I first got my Mars, and it was smelling up my room. And then I realized, oh yeah, I put paper towels with the resin into the garbage can, and it was smelly. That would be the same thing if I used anything else. So, use caution for sure. You don't want to be breathing this in on a regular basis. You don't want to be getting it on your skin necessarily. It could irritate you. But by no means is there any issue with fumes coming out of the machine when this lid is in place. There's a nice little lip down here. It is on there completely. The whole top is sealed. There is no fumes escaping. So that's great. It's fantastic. That's what I loved about this one. That's what I love about the Saturn. There's no need to vent it. The thing I really love about Elegoo is if you go and you read up on them, they've been around for many years, 3D printing, long before they started making these versions for, the average person. So they make industrial size ones. They've made these for years and years and years. So they know what they're doing. They know how it works. They know the technology. And in fact, they've modified the Saturn several times since creating the first one. They have made several adaptations of it as they went. And they listened to their customers. When they put the jack on the front for the USB, people complained and said it's in my way when I'm trying to use the touchscreen. So they moved it, put it on the side. Initially, they moved it from the back to the front because of people saying they wanted something different. So again, they listen to their customers. They give great customer service. They have a fantastic product. So. All right, one more thing I wanted to show you is how easy it is to get it ready to go by leveling the build plate in the first place. All you do is you have this knob that loosens up, so the whole thing comes off. It just slides right onto this piece right here, and it only goes on so far, and then you just tighten down this bolt, this knob. Okay, and then it gives you some instructions on this card. And this card is also the leveling paper, so you're going to actually place it down like I just had it onto the display to be the proper thickness. So it's very simple. You put the mechanism on, you tighten it just like I just showed. You loosen up the 2 Allen bolts, which I've already done. So it just swivels around in all directions. And then it gets a little dicey with some of the instructions, but basically I can tell by those really dark little pictures what you're selecting and how you do it. They also show some big giant leveling paper, which clearly you don't have. And then it just shows you how to raise it back up. So this is the leveling card or the paper. So it's not quite the full size of it, which is fine because you want to be able to see where the build plate's going to line up. And you can see how this tape here around it is not the display, it's around the display. So that's the actual display right there inside. That's where this is going to go to. So, all right, so let me go ahead and show you real quick. And I haven't turned it on yet, but I want you to notice just how quiet this is. It's really, really quiet. So let me turn it on. Takes a second to power up. There's the Saturn Elegoo display. And there we go. All right, very, very quiet. So I think it's even quieter than the Mars, which was quiet itself. So this would not disturb me in any way, even if it were in the same room, but being in a separate room, it's no problem at all. So what you're going to do is you want to go to your tools. You want to go to manual. And then you have a home button. Just hit the home button. And you'll see it's starting to come down on its own. And all the home button is going to do is take it all the way to the bottom, even if the reservoir were on it. You'll see in a second, it will hit it and sets off a sensor, and it'll just come up a bit and then come back down and be right where it needs to be. You can even see that little red light in the back came on because it sensed that this hit the bottom. So then all you're going to do is move this around so it's flush within the borders of this black stripping. As you can see that it is. And then you really don't even have to hold it down because it's not going anywhere, but then you just tighten these Allen bolts again. And that holds it in place. You don't even have to really snug these down like super tight, just hand tightening. Get in there. Go. Okay. All right. All right. And then you come down and you have three choices: 0.10 millimeter, 1 millimeter, 10 millimeter, and it's already on 10. So then you just hit your up button. You can actually hit it a couple of times and it will, each time you tap it, it's going to move it 10 millimeters, which is the most that it can move at one time. So it goes up pretty quickly. And again, you can see how nicely it's moving along those tracks. Really solid. All right, I don't have to take it up too far. All right, that's good. Take off the little card, and then you're ready to go ahead and put in the, get in here. And as I said, that only fits in one way. I still have the film on this on the bottom, so I'll have to take that off, but tighten these down. And that's it. And now I'm ready to put resin into it, lower it down, and then you have your controls, which you got your tools, your system, your print. Very straightforward, pretty much exactly the same as it was the first one. So, okay, fantastic. All right, so very happy with this new printer. I can't wait to get it all set up and ready to go and get some resin in it and start doing my first prints. I can tell you, and it's not a secret, but a couple of files that I got recently from The Mandalorian that were from the one of the episodes from the new season. And I'll be going over those in the future and showing you once I get it all set up and start printing it. But I can definitely print these in regular size, full size, if not even larger. And it's going to be pretty cool. So stay tuned. A lot of great things coming, and then also getting back to some 3D printing here at some point as well. All right, thanks a lot.